hands before you pick that up, right?
What?
Well,
Why? What? No,
No,
it's what she gave it to me at the end for paying that extra fee that she has.
wait, she? And I kind of look back into the.
Yeah, and you look over and you see that there's like 4 outhouses next to each other.
Nick, you were getting some outhouse strange, were you?
I mean,
no,
I guess
there wasn't.
cheese man.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't, guys.
Cheese.
There was a tent here. There was a fortune teller tent right here.
Nope, pretty much looks like
everybody can make perception checks.
It's a poop knife. Thank you, Lyric.
And the boots of teleportation.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be your own delivery service.
There you go.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. Unless Naveen, you want it. Sorry.
No, it can go to Delaware. That's okay.
This divvying up is not how I expected it to go.
I don't know. Like,
I am sorry, I am trying to be helping, but
What happened to Trinia?
she just disappeared.
I did.
We lost the kid.
I am not understanding. She just got hit by one of those raisins. She disappeared. She is gone.
And Arabella said I turned to stone?
You were a statue. Welcome back.
You know what? I just give him a hug. A big chalky hug.
Okay.
This is not the time.
I'm like the Oprah of action economies.
It is Toivo's turn. Toivo appears, closes his eyes as you explain what's going on, turns its head to look at, or to its head so it's facing the Hound of Tyndalos. So Matt and Brian, you hear the cat just growl real low and dangerous. Nick, you hear meow meow, I can smell you, meow meow meow. Roll your attacks, please. Blink dogs are like, we don't want to kill the doggos. Like they're doggos. They're so adorable. And I'm like, all right, so we're gonna call it the ethically sourced blink dog cloak. And so basically they were blink dogs that when they died of old age, they donated their bodies to the magic item industry, such that their skins could then be turned into a blink dog cloak, which would give the barbarian Misty Step 3 times a day.
As someone who's had to like brush a husky, I feel like you could definitely make a whole cloak just out of like the fur,
yeah.
that they shed.
Yes.
Oh, is it a blink dog?
There we go. Look, he just appeared out of nowhere.
Hi, man. Hi, honey.
Hello.
It's like
I heard someone say dog. Oh. But your characters don't know that. So behave as though your characters don't know, but you players do. So I can be like very like, imminent danger. What are you going to do? A bucket full of puppies. But like the players know that I'm not actually trying to like traumatize them.
They are about to start day 2 of the 3-day doomsday counter. It is about 1 a.m., maybe a little bit earlier, in the Mush Fens, a swampy frontierlands where this hidden relic is located. They've freed giant kraken-like octopi
If it's a home game situation, and let's
Yeah.
say you've gone into it thinking, I've got a really cool idea for a horror one shot and I'm running it and the players are just making jokes and things, then this comes back to my number one rule whenever anybody pops into anything that I'm doing, streams or whatnot, and they say, if you get any advice for new players, I say 4 words. And anybody who's from my community who's in chat will repeat them with me now. Talk to your players. Conversation is key. You've got to have that discussion. There is nothing to stop you pausing the game and saying, hey guys, I'm trying to create an ambience of horror here. I've worked really hard at it. I've turned the lights down and put candles on and stuff. And I'm trying. I feel like these like silly names that you're like coming up with silly nicknames for the bad guy and stuff. It's really undermining me. Can we please try and keep this on genre? And then go back into it. And your players, unless they're dickheads, will go, yeah, absolutely, you're right. We were fucking around a bit much.
Yeah.
All right, Majenko flies over. Lumbrisa, I've got you!
Can he do a flyby heal?
Sure.
Get out! Get out! No!
Sure, he'll go right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's D&D.
D&D.
Glad y'all came to our hoot, Nanny. Good to see you, boss. How you enjoying yourself so far? Hey, get her another ale on me. No, get her 2 ales on me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The
Why not?
croaky bartender
I
comes
suppose
back
just start
and sets
drinking.
2 mugs.
Body already present in the room where you ultimately fought the kind of shade of Scaravingian. That I think it was
Your cat jumped up on the table with a sock in his mouth, or her mouth, and was walking across the table with a sock in their mouth.
there is a pair of
Doesn't look like
only
it on our
has-
side.
He doesn't have that prepared. He is going to he's gonna unload one of his most powerful spells at all of you.
Fuck.
Magic missile.
Kill.
Looks like it almost bears like an Osiriani style to it. There's a veil over her face. She wears a shawl that is kind of embossed with different jewels at the end of it. She wears long, beautiful, flowing robes of the finest silk. Very elegantly dressed.
First of all, we have the father of Forgotten Realms. He's written source material for multiple RPG systems, and most recently has been working with the Fate of the Norns Athcliath Living City. Please welcome Ed Greenwood to the Game Master's Workshop. Hi, Ed.
Hi.
Next, we have Chris Jackson. He is known for his many series of pirate and sailing novels, including his most recent book in the Fivefold universe, Pacifica. He has written multiple RPG tie-in novels, as well as contributed for books such as Paizo's Ships of the Inner Seas. Welcome, Chris Jackson, to the show.
Oh.
And also author, writer, game designer. He has multiple RPG tie-ins as well, and has had a major hand in multiple 4th edition books, and can currently be seen on Twitch's Dungeon Scrawlers channel, where he and the entire cast is comprised of authors and writers. Welcome, Eric Scott DeBee.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys.
far away from, apparently. and switch our map.
Whoa.
Yes, it's been a while since this last game. So a recap is definitely in order. The last time we had our previous session, all of you learned about the rise of a rune lord in Varizia due to the failure. I'm just looking at Jeremy right now to see his reaction. Oh, I guess I got to look at Rachel too. The failure of the Pathfinder organization who went to attempt to stop him. The best they could do now is to warn the frontier expanse of what was to come. Their party and their family decimated by the pinnacle of transmutative sin magic. Magnamar, we all learned, knew of what was to come 3 months ago, as did Riddleport and Kermaga. However, Corvosa, due to their negligent previous ruler, brushed off the threat as not their concern. And thus, Corvosa is only catching up in their preparations just now, after atrocity after atrocity after atrocity. They are informed by Miles and Arabella, who were in the shabby orc town of Erdland, that the group was attacked by a very organized army of giants bearing a dragon and a mythical rune giant. Group brainstormed, and with that they scattered. Sephi, learning that Iliosa had callously slaughtered all the hippogriffs, went to seek guidance from the Grand Cathedral of Pharasma, and in the morning dawn would beseech her deity of intercession to do something to save to help these poor animals. Naveen escorted Miles to the underground chamber where she had seen evidence of strange, untoward activity. And Naveen was introduced to the remnants of the Corvosan Guard and Sable Company. Less than impressed. A conglomerate force of about 100 ragtag remnants of both organizations combined, with the Marines not having any hippogriffs to give them any sort of advantage over your typical Corvosan Guard. However, she did meet a few promising characters. A retired soldier looking for glory, seeming to have decent experience under his belt, a street savvy ex-thief, a mercenary with siege warfare knowledge, a scholarly mage, recently graduated from the academy, and a fearless dwarven blacksmith ready for whatever was to be ahead of her. Naveen held some training with this group to learn where their strengths and weaknesses lie. And she realized quickly that there was a long road of training to get them battle ready for what was to be ahead. Miles, spending the evening staking out this abandoned hideout, found a flaring of the runes, and he was able to hear sounds, echoes of the past, psychic remnants torturing him through the night, reminders of his failure and what it had cost. Dalibor traveled to Flameford to visit the Sklarquois, and upon arriving, he found that they were having a celebration for the imminent birth of their new tribe member. Larissa, who he had only seen a few days previously, now looked like she was late third trimester, ready to give birth any day. He was able to attribute this to the magic of the hero deck, affecting her physiology when it rapidly aged her. Dalibor had an extreme diplomatic challenge ahead of him to try to convince the Sklarquois that what was to come was to be taken seriously, and perhaps retreat was the best option. He found this persuasion to be nearly impossible. The Sklarquois had been forced off their land when the Corvosan settlers had come and taken the Grand Mastaba generations ago. They would not be forced again, but they knew not truly what they would be facing. Dalibor agreed that he would do his best to bring Corvosa to the Shawanti, and in a vision of thousand bones, united peace, come to their aid when they needed help. In return, they agreed that they would entertain retreat if the situation were so dire, and that if Corvosa was to come to their aid, their riders would be a part of the allied defensive. The Sun Shaman also mentioned that he had visions of some sort of a challenge that was to face the new heroes of Corvosa, the combined entity, and wished to see them again. Meanwhile, Arabella spoke to Sutherland and learned of his reservations with facing a Rune Lord, and she was told a portent that had been repeated by the augurs of Karamaga. She also spent some time studying the pool and learning as much as she could from the notes that Iliosa kept and the research of her parents, of her mother. Everybody joined back at Corvosa, and they were able to see something fantastic in the sky, a miracle that would be talked long after. The swirling of the clouds and the sigil of Pharasma's spiral, a beam descending from the heavens upon the great tower. The frantic rushing of the king and his loyal retainers as he approached the tower, bringing all of you with him. Whispering rumors of, is this an avoided tornado or another avoided cyclone, or is it a symbol of the gods? And the impossibility that lies within, which was several score, nearly 100 hatchling and to be hatched hippogriff eggs and geldings. And that is where we pick up the beginning of this game. You all are currently together, standing in the great tower, looking at this undocumented chamber within the great tower. And it is the first point which all of you have reconvened after your different quests.
So is Steffi there too? Because she... No? Okay. And the Great Tower, sorry, I'm trying to, that's where the stable company's hell is. That's where their headquarters is, correct?
You are at the tower. If you'd like to discuss in privacy, you can go back to the castle. A few of them are hatching. Yeah. A few of them are hatching, and there are a couple, like, little, not geldings, but yes, he is floored. Oh, we you can make a knowledge, nature, or a heal check. They should not be thriving in this room because there's no light and it's not very warm in here. But the eggs will need to be incubated. And there's no hippogriffs here incubating them, which is another medical impossibility that they're hatching under such circumstances. So get them somewhere warm. And you'll need food.
I will repeat all of this.
You'll need somebody watching over them.
Actually, instead of like, I will more of like, from what I understand, I think off the top of my head, they need warmth. They need to be warm, incubated like eggs. Yes, I'll say to him. And somebody's going to need to watch and protect them, I believe.
Our Marines. Where are our Marines? I think there are still a couple of our stable hands amongst them.
I saw some over at the training with Chrysidia.
He looks at one of his retainers and he says, "Go, get them now." And the person runs.
Do you think your men hid these eggs from the queen?
They shouldn't be hatching. It's far too cold up here. There's something else.
Dalibor, you know that if they were here for this long, at least half of them would be dead.
Yeah, these would all be dead had they been just left here this whole time. There is something else at play. But I'm not going to look a gift hippogriff in the mouth, eh? And I'm going to start like thinking like, what can I do to keep them warm? Is there like an alchemical substance that I can keep in a container that like heats up and stays heated up for a long time?
You could definitely. Well, there are heat stones, which are an alchemical item. It's kind of like a hand warmer, but your brain is already. You don't even have to roll because I know what your base is. Your brain is good enough that you're already starting to think of, okay, maybe like a heat stone, but I need something a little bit bigger in scale. And you start devising something. You'll need to get back to your lab.
I will look at Marcus. I have important things to tell you all, but we can't let them die. So I'm going to go back to my lab and start working on something to keep them warm unless you have a better idea.
Can we move them?
Can we move them?
We could, Marcus says, but there's 100 of them.
I would say do something to block any drafts and get some hay up here to keep warm, to keep insulated. When the keepers get here. I will go work on something to keep room warm. I can keep whole room warm and we won't have to worry. I just have to make sure not to keep it too warm. We don't want to cook them.
You see...
And I'll run out. I'll actually use my boots because I haven't used them.
You see, as you are getting ready to go, Neolandus steps forward and holds a hand up. How fares Flameford? Are they still there?
They're still there. They're having party. They don't believe they need to come back. Our only chance is our best chance. We are going to have to stop that scout party, and we're going to have to do it at Flamethird, so that they understand what they're up against. If Corvosa comes to their aid, they will believe we are sincere. But they have too many history of us hurting them. They need to know that we actually do care about them, and that they are our allies. This is the greatest cavalry in Varizia. I will say pointedly, and I will look at the king. If we can't help them, we might not be able to help ourselves. If we can get everybody there to stop the scouting party, we have a chance of getting great allies and saving very close friends.
Marcus kind of like delays the shock on his face of the eggs and looks at you, Arabella. Do you have a way of making this conversation private?
teleporting us to your bathroom?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you get 6 people?
Yes.
He looks at he's got like a bunch. The king ran through the streets, so he's got like 10 people with him. He looks at another one and he says, you two get to the golden key, let Dalavor know of what we have here, and tell him that we need an alchemical solution right away. He looks at you, Dalavor. Do you think your father has the alchemical knowledge to devise what the things you have in your mind?
Yeah. If not, he's the second best person I know that could.
We need you, he says. With us.
I will write a quick note, since somebody's physically running there, of like what I'm picturing in my head.
It's
a
like,
quick formula, and hand it to him. And just give that to my father. It's my rough
like
idea.
chicken scratch to the guy that you give, but he's like, okay.
I don't know if it counts as an aid another, but you know.
Yeah. And he heads off.
Arabelle is going to cast Getaway first.
Okay.
She's going to choose this destination in case people decide, hey, we need to rush back here.
Okay. Then you're going to teleport back to Castle Corvosa?
Yeah, do I know if I can teleport right into that bathroom?
You probably will want to teleport into the throne room. The bathroom is very small. But I mean, it's like walking to that bathroom is like 30 seconds.
Okay, so I'll
It's
teleport to the throne.
close. Okay.
So I'm teleporting Miles, Dalavor, Naveen, myself, Marcus, and Neil Landis.
Yes.
Okay.
Neil Landis mentions, does somebody have a way of contacting Miss Thrain to join us?
Yes. I can communicate with her telepathically.
Please do.
Absolutely.
Perhaps appraise her to what happened here as well, if you could.
Yes, I will.
You're going to want to do that before we get to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because the communication will not work in the bathroom.
Right. I have a couple things to ask my sister anyway. So if you'll excuse me, Miles will reach out telepathically to Sephi. Sephi, where are you? There is much happening.
Is Steffi still where she was, or has time passed?
Yeah, you're there.
And so from Steffi's perspective, she saw the spiral.
Yeah, the spiral has passed now, and you're still up in the belfry.
Okay.
You're about to climb down.
Well, she cast Airwalk on herself before, and she doesn't know. So
Whatever.
Okay. So my plan was to have her just start running, airwalking, off the balcony towards the spiral.
Then you are.
Because she doesn't know where anything in the city is.
Then you're not yet out of the gray.
Okay.
You're about to pass over the wall to the main city.
Okay.
Between the gray South Shore and the main city.
Okay. I'm running to where the spiral was. But now it disappeared. I'm kind of lost. So I'm just kind of in the air right now.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Arabella is going to take myself and a bunch of others straight to the castle. So if you can run straight to the castle and meet us in the throne room, is that possible? And what do you know about the spiral? Anything?
Yeah, I think I am pretty sure Pharasma answered my prayer, and that was her answer. I don't exactly know what that means.
Did your prayer have anything to do with hippogriffs?
Yes, I asked her to bring them all back because that was not very nice of the queen to kill them.
Miles.
And I paid, well, I can tell you, I paid the bishop money to do, I think what it was called, the divination, where she gave me like a cryptic rhyme that then I was praying about, and that didn't really work, and I fell asleep in the church. So then I just kind of guessed because that seems to work better for me, and then the spiral came, so I'm pretty sure it worked. And you mentioned hippogriffs. Are they back?
Yes.
Do you see them?
A whole lot of them. Yes. That's why we're going to the castle to talk
Are
about.
they at the castle?
No, they are at the Great Tower, which is on the other side of the city from where you might be. I don't know where you are.
Yeah, I don't know where I am either.
Should
Okay,
you
well,
re-
if I go to the castle, you promise we can go out and see him after?
Based on conversation that was occurring before I reached out to you, I'm not sure if we'll be able to go straight there. There's other stuff going on.
What?
We'll go see the hippogriffs as soon as we can, okay? But meet us at the castle.
Okay.
All right.
What does it look like?
You can see it.
Oh, I can see.
You can
Okay.
see it.
Okay. I will run there.
As fast as you can.
Okay.
I'm assuming as Sephi is talking, she is running in that direction.
Yeah.
So I mean, it takes you about a minute and a half to get there.
Oh, okay.
Running over through the air.
Yeah, she's running in a straight line
to it. Okay. It takes the rest of you about 6 seconds to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming Arabella doesn't have to do anything else.
No. You want to wait for your sister in the throne room?
I don't know where there was talk of heading to a different location, so I will wait for my sister.
You appear in the throne room.
Okay. Huffing.
And you see Marcus.
Oh.
In his kingly regalia now. And Neolandis. Not right out of an Arcona dungeon. Neolandis, aka Mark Ruffalo. That was brought to my attention today for the first time, and I did not realize it.
Well then.
It was always the first thing I thought of every time I saw him. Saw that the beat up picture. I was like, man, somebody beat up Hulk.
All right. Well, once Miss Thrain gets here,
there's just enough room.
We'll show you the most lavish bathroom in the city.
Yeah, it's honestly where we should probably hold all of our meetings. Because nobody can scry in there.
Interesting. Well, after speaking with my sister, I believe I have more details. But we'll talk in the bathroom, I guess.
About 30 seconds later, you see Sephi breathlessly appears,
Still running on the air.
escorted by a guard into the chamber, who shouts out, "Announcing Miss Sephora Thrain!" And then he walks away.
Ah, thanks. So we really can't see them?
Not yet. We have important conversations that must be had. It seems the king and Dalibor, along with the others, have things we have to discuss.
Okay.
Plus, we have to discuss the hippogriffs and your involvement.
And relocating people.
Just all just so crammed in the room.
You all cram into this tiny bathroom. Well, I say tiny, but for a bathroom, it's pretty freaking big.
Okay. Well, Steffi will help and she will airwalk to the corner of the ceiling.
Okay. It's not a very high bathroom.
So we're hiding in here because this place is immune to being scryed, right?
Yes, it's protected by a mage's private sanctum.
As you enter in, as you see the door open, you can't see into the room. It's just this inky darkness, and everybody that walks in just disappears until Sephi and Miles, you are the last two to enter into the room.
Right. Well. Okay.
The two of you take a big, deep breath and step in, and inside you see that this chamber is dominated by a lavishly decorated marble bath that is filled with steaming water, which is what Steffi is airwalking over. And a large silver mirror hangs on the southwest wall above a short counter covered with vials of nothing, because I think all that stuff was taken. To the northeast, a long but shallow planter box gives a leafy green vine a place to root. The vine grows along the walls of the chamber, and its deep crimson flowers fill the room with a sweet floral scent. A stained glass window featuring the Arabasti crest is set in the wall to the southwest. That is the crest of the previous king, King Eadred. And you all enter into this room.
Very private bathroom.
I will look, it's like, to catch you up, and I will repeat what I said about the tribe. For Sephi's sake, because everybody else was there.
Okay. Well.
They are proud people, and they don't understand what it is they are facing. And there's no way they could agree. However, they are the clan that is the least likely to side with the Corvosans. They are the tribe that hates us the most. If we convince them by our showing of helping them in their most dire need, which their shaman saw via divination, that there is a good chance that not only can we get their tribe and their clan, but we could get all of the others to follow as well, provided they are still alive. But it's likely they may all have to band together when that scouting party arrives.
Neolandis scratches his chin and says, well, the Sun Clan is one of the clans further north. There are many clans that claim the lowlands as their domain, who won't have been affected. Miles looks at, or Marcus looks at Miles and asks, how long do they have?
Initial March, we expected 3 months from when I was speaking in Magnamar. I will have to roll a knowledge geography.
You would.
and Probably a knowledge or profession soldier on top of that as well.
Yep.
For March.
Can Arabella aid in the knowledge geography?
You could
Since-
roll separately.
Just because she saw the scouting party.
That's a
32.
geography.
I'm not gonna roll because Dalibor is like he's distracted in like 3 different ways. He's still thinking about like the alchemical process. He's still thinking about like how can you make this work. He's still thinking about like trying to convince everybody to like follow through on this.
Ooh, not a good roll.
It's enough, both of you, to know like where Flameford is and how far from Erglin it is. From Erglin to Flameford is about 60 miles. If they headed in a direct, if they headed directly there, you're guessing. Wow, that table doesn't help me at all. $60 miles. They're going extremely slow. 5 days to a week. They'd be there. Probably closer to 5 days if they went straight from Erglin to there, and that's assuming they left. Well, 5 days. Roll a profession soldier, though.
Yeah. Not a great roll.
So with the 19, all you really know is that it's highly unlikely as a scouting party that they would bounce from a fight like that in Erglin immediately to Flameford or Karamaga. They would report back to a bigger force. Where that bigger force is and how far they have to travel to get there, you have no idea. And you don't really, for humans, how typically far that would be. With giants and how far they move and how they operate, or how a rune lord might operate with an army, you don't know. There's magic in play, and you're not comfortable enough to guess.
Okay. Well, Your Majesty, based on what I know and I'm comfortable with, as far as my understanding with the giant army, is that if they went straight from one settlement to Flameford, it would take them maybe 5 days. But if they are operating as a scouting party and just raised an entire city, they would likely need to report back. assuming they operate in similar convention to a human army.
They also have the dragon with them.
Yes. But
And
if
the
they
dragon. Oh, go ahead.
if they report back to another larger force, we don't know how long that will take, how far it is from Erglin, etc. So I might say best estimate a week, assuming they do go and make a report.
That would put their touch point somewhere close with Flameford, somewhere close to the Riverwind Festival to mid next week.
Is that what Marcus says, or is that what Miles knows?
That's what Marcus says.
Okay.
Arabelle is going to look at Miles and say, this is going to sound cold, but in your experience fighting giants, how effective is the cavalry?
Cavalry versus giants. To be honest, I've not witnessed it. It has been skirmishes, guerrilla warfare, us assaulting a city walls. I have not witnessed large-scale cavalry versus giants. So to that, I cannot attest.
My thought is if their people are half the fighters as Krojan was, cavalry or no, it's better than what we have.
Marcus looks at you, Naveen. How long before our recruits are ready to march? Your gut like drops to your souls as you recognize what you just saw late yesterday. Some of them barely know how to hold a freaking spear.
Okay, ready to march? We could move tomorrow. Ready to fight? Months. There's a few promising recruits, but we need help. And if the Shawanti are willing to help us, yeah, they might be able to take out all of our recruits. That's where we're at. But I don't know that we can afford to alienate any of the help we can get.
I'm less worried about alienating them and more worried about them actually surviving. They're going to be limited.
And if anyone could talk them into leaving their lands for safety, it would be Dalibor. And if he wasn't able to do it with words, I guess the only thing left is our actions.
We, and I point Arabella and Naveen, we proved ourselves to them. Korvosa has not. And I think that's what they are looking for. After how many years? Decades? That they've been doing stuff with the Shawanti? When did Korvosa get put in? Centuries? Decades?
Like it was like 100 years ago?
Yeah. For 100 years they've been alienating their peoples. Corvosa has a lot to make up for. It's understandable that they don't trust. And it's hard for their leaders, who do trust us, to convince their people to do so. But if even whatever remnants we can of Corvosa shows up to show Corvosan aid, they will consider retreating to Corvosa as a strong point. But if we leave them out there to die, we might get one or two that retreat and not to Corvosa, because they're
Speaking
not welcome here.
practically, Marcus says, even if I speak callously, if we leave them there to fend for themselves, we have no idea what we're facing. And we leave Kermaga to that fate and the half-light path, which leads straight to us.
I do have an update about Kermaga.
Tell me you have more good news.
I don't.
You see Neil Landis' shoulders kind of slump.
I talked to Sullivan of the Arcana Circle. Their oracles there have a prophecy, and Arabelle handed over the miles. That's foretelling of Karzug's coming and the potential choice that the city will have to make. To put it rather bluntly, Sullivan is not sure if Keramaga would stand against Karzug or join him.
Whoa. Dalbor just kind of leans up against, like, falls back into the wall. Not even thinking that was a thought until you said that. It's like, oh, yes, Keramaga would do something like that.
We need to make it in Sullivan's best interest and the best interest of this Arcana Circle that they fight against Karzug or flee the city.
Kermaga.
That got me. Thank you, Toasty Toesies.
Well timed.
Well.
We need to embolden them. We need to embolden Kermaga with a show of force.
If
those walls have never fallen to invaders, never. 100 men inside those walls would be worth 1,000 men elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. I have made it clear the Sullivan's best interest right now is to get the city on board with defending itself. He seemed a little unsure. I mean, he was in agreement of what I was saying, but unsure if he could do that. So I think a diplomatic effort there would be good. I also think if we are going to take the fight to the scouting party, then maybe I should talk to Sullivan about having some of the Arcana Circle mages there to fight. And we use this as the grounds of assessment to test their army and to see how strong it is, to test strategy. And then there's also the dragon to contend with.
How defensible is Flameford?
From Giants and the Dragon?
They don't have walls.
Mm-mm.
It's open, mostly.
What are we to do? We're damned if we do, and we damned if we don't.
The benefit with having mages fighting in an open field with the cavalry behind them is that we don't have to worry about unnecessary death or destruction.
Especially in the city.
Neil Landis is kind of, his eyes have been closed and he's been thinking, and he says, Flameford in the Cinderlands is a 10.5-day march, assuming we don't run the troops ragged with forced marches.
If you give me the components, I can make a teleportation circle between our 2 points.
What are
It's-
the components?
Amber, dust. I'll get you the cost right here. I'd need 2,000 gold worth more if we were going to make it permanent.
I don't think we want it permanent. Can we get a whole army there?
Not all at once. It's a 5-foot radius circle, so maybe 2 at a time, but it would last 180 minutes. I can maybe have it last 200 minutes.
Neil, Marcus seems very deep in contemplation. Neil Landis looks at you, Miles. You're holding something back. What did you find?
There was. So I have a couple things to report. My sister, Sephora, she is the one responsible for the hippogriffs.
What?
She prayed directly to Pharasma for intercession to return the hippogriffs, and Pharasma answered her call, her prayer.
Dalbor kind of leans away from the wall, kind of astonished but excited.
Yeah, I guess I did do that.
And glances over at her.
My second item.
Sephi, do you have sense motive?
Do I have sense motive?
Yeah.
Does? Oh. Yes. I'll roll it.
What is it?
The 14, I think.
Don't roll it. You can see it looks like half of the group is looking at you now, and you know this look. You know it as a healer, and you know it when you give it to Irie. They're looking at you to have the answer to their problem right now.
Uh-oh.
And you don't even know what your own spells do. Miles, continue.
Yeah. I'm just gonna shut up and let Miles talk.
The other thing I have to report is that I do not know what other effects it may have, or if it is still linked to anything as of still. But the abandoned altar underneath beneath the sword school. When I spent my night there, I heard whispers of a flaring of the runes in that room.
Whispers?
Yes, it was very hard to pick out. But I don't know if the runes were meant specifically to torment me or those that partook in the battle, or if these will have anything to do with our coming battle at all. However, it replayed the sounds of the battle that my family, the Thrain company, and I had with Karzook directly. I do not know if any such magic would be able to be used on the field of battle to break morale. I can only imagine that there is many other potential uses of his magic. Considering that I have seen him literally destroy magical items with a single spell. But I think
Sure.
of the... Go on.
Oh no, it was just I was gonna ask to roll a knowledge arcana for Arabella.
Sure.
But I'm sure of the two things that I have just brought up, the more important one is obviously the miracle with the hippogriffs.
Arabella, you know the spell, the magic that he is probably describing is very powerful magic. The fact that he doesn't tell you very much about it, but he rolled high enough over the 29 DC that you know that he's probably suggesting Karzook was able to use a mage's disjunction.
Okay.
A spell that would completely invalidate any buffing you might do against him.
Mm-hmm. I guess Arabella will say. Sounds like he used a mage's disjunction on you and your family. It would make any magic you had on you inert, at least temporarily. Sometimes permanently.
The magic items that I had, at the very least, retained their magic or their properties. They regained those after a while.
So is he talking to us through this room?
I don't... That room beneath the sword school, I did not have a direct conversation with him. The sounds I had heard, I only heard when the runes had flared at about... It was very early in the morning. Before sunrise, about maybe 3 a.m., as I recall. When the runes flared, I could barely hear it at first. It's very indistinct. I don't know what kind of effect they would have had if I didn't hear them.
Well, this is a mystery that I don't know if we have the resources to uncover just yet. Ms. Grosvenor. Your renovations. Is that a concern for us? You're working with the Stonebeard Company, are you not?
Yes. Its renovations is going to take a little time. The grounds themselves are usable. Outdoors.
How long?
I remember how long.
Make an in check.
Oh God.
Unless you have it with you.
I have it electronically. I just have to find it.
Okay. Well, you can do either or.
And check. Yeah, I'm super good at that one. 11.
You needed. I had set the DC at a 5.
Oh, okay. Good.
You remember because it was your greatest point of contention with the contract. It was expensive to do, but you're more concerned about the time frame they gave you to do it. They said 3 months.
Yeah. 3 months. But I imagine some of the buildings will be done sooner.
Unacceptable, Marcus says. We'll provide laborers to speed that up. There's a whole district of people looking for work in Old Corvosa.
That would be great. Thank you. Do we remember what that was there any boon for that? You know, the Schwanti lands, we went to that temple and people did something with magic, got a mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Would that be at all helpful in this? We already know where it is.
We could bring people there and then so Arabella explained Rachel forgets the technical term of it, but it's a spear of the Rune Lords, and you go inside and you get a mark that will allow you to summon a monster or dispel a planar being. The issue is that if you linger too long in the spear and look around, you could be lost forever. Probably torn apart. If you're smart enough and just come back right away, you get the mark. You can only use it once per year. Or you can only receive the mark once per year. So if you wanted to boost your recruits and send them through that and hope they come back right away.
Or even other allies, doesn't have to be foot.
Miles hasn't gotten the mark.
I think I've gotten the mark.
You didn't get it? Yeah.
No.
I got it.
Miles does not have that mark, but he does have a different mark on his forehead. That, yeah.
But yeah, it is an option. There's also Cindermaw, if I can find him and bring him to the battle. He's just a well, he's not mindless. His desire is to devour things that are
It's true. Are there Ida, like, is it just giants or are there human-sized people in this army? Because Cinder Mob could be useful against the human-sized.
From what we had seen gathering and what we had seen attacking Erglin, it was all giants, everything taller than humans. In the city of Jin Shalasp, there were other beings, but I do not know if they're being conscripted as part of this army.
Sephi will speak up. Be like, I could ask the Revelation Quill if there's non-giants in the scouting, non-giants and non-dragons in the scouting party. It's like a divination device, except it's in poems. I get one question a day.
Okay. Seems like that could be helpful.
It has been quite helpful in the past.
Mhm.
It led us to 3 of Karzud's generals so that we could actually assault his tower.
Yep.
But
There were non-humans in Jinslaw, or not non-humans, non-giants. There was a lion ladies.
Lamia, yep. Yeah.
Bird people.
The farmers. I forgot about them. There were the spared.
You know that Cindermaw is probably big enough he could potentially eat a giant.
Okay.
Maybe more than one if he was hungry.
Yeah. I could come to him as the god of the desert and offer him food.
I just hope he doesn't find my friend Chloe. Oh.
Well, speaking of Cinderma, and the place where we get the mark that you mentioned earlier, don't forget the giant tentacle monster in that building.
Can't we
Yeah.
just teleport to the part where the tentacle monster isn't?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We teleport downstairs. That's what I've done.
Did we
I'm wondering if our magics has surpassed whatever that creature is, and maybe we could get it to help us as well. That was a long time ago, and we have all farly advanced ourselves.
Tentacle creature, huh?
You are
Arabella, you have a
welcome.
flashback of being decapitated
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah, Arabella's like, you are welcome to have a conversation with that.
I believe that was your first death.
It was.
You're getting pretty spicy here. We have a suggestion to hire the Red Mantis to fight, using an Elder Beast to as a weapon. I'm liking it.
Desperate times.
Desperate times, indeed.
While we are here and we're protected, I do have a question for you, Miles.
Yes.
You fought him once already, right? Correct?
Yes. At least once.
They have a saying here in
true.
Corvosa that I learned not long ago called something about hindsight being 20/20. If you could go back, what is something that you could have done to have that be more beneficial to yourself? If there's anything you could have redone as a party, as a team, as an individual. What do you think
If
it would
there's
have been?
anything- Well, the major thing probably would have been able to protect ourselves from his divination so he couldn't spy on us all the time, as he tried earlier, because he had been watching us for a very long time.
I would have gotten the spell components for Miracle. Because now that I've actually used it, it would have been very helpful, maybe. I maybe could have undone what he did to us.
with his spying, he was able to study us for a very long time, our tactics, the key players in combat. He literally put me in a box of, invisible wall so I couldn't escape or shoot at him or his dragon or any of the giants that were in his personal domain. He
Do you
had
have
trapped.
would you have a contingency for that now if you could go back?
Being able to fly, that'd be the number one way, but we were prepared with that until he had neutralized all of our magic with the mage's disjunction, I believe Arabella called it.
Yeah, my boots used to teleport and my armor used to be magical, but it's not anymore. And Ira used to have an artifact.
If you knew that that was coming, how would you have prepared to stop it?
Do we have the components, Dalibor, or do you know the components that could be used to add a giant bane to weapons?
There might be a salve that I could come up with to put on a weapon. It would be temporary. I'm no enchanter.
And it's usually components of the creature, right? So if we can manage to kill one of the giants, we could potentially harvest the components to bring to crafters here in Karamaga and hopefully mass produce some giant bane.
Potentially. If our friend is, we could get her to come back, or even send her commissions to have her do some work or teach people how to do it. Maybe.
Do we still have access to? No, never mind.
I'm sorry for the distraction, Miles. My mind is in a million places, and I could only think that us looking back at our fight here, what would we have done different? But we don't have to worry about that. However, you get that opportunity. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask if there were anything that you wish you would have done differently, or mistakes that were made, or choices that were made that you could have made differently, that might matter. We do have the knowledge now that you have.
The hard part when he took all of our preparative magic, all the magic spells we prepared, away, was we just didn't have time to recover from that.
I nod.
So.
And I don't know how
Yes.
and I look at Arabella, I do not know how we would stop that. That's going to be an important factor, I think, moving forward.
It sounds like we would need to ensure that we go first. But
does that spell affect any and all magical items, or only of a certain power level? And I kind of look towards Naveen and then down to her sword hilt.
And is it a certain area of effect?
Arabella, you know the area of a mage's disjunction. It's a 40-foot radius. Big.
it's a 40-foot radius and it can affect artifacts.
Okay.
Well,
hopefully that doesn't come to pass. I guess I distract us from more imminent problem, which is incoming scouting party.
I guess it also, I think, maybe has some variance on the artifact, and there could be some backlash with it too. But Our advantage. I think our only advantage was Karzug is that he's arrogant. And he's going to, I would assume, after this recent victory, he could potentially underestimate us. I think if we keep our plan secret, ensure that we are not scryed upon, like Miles said, that would also be a boon. But I'm not familiar with fighting giants.
If you think the guerrilla warfare tactic works on them, I would assume that's what the Shawanti often do. They're cavalry, but they're not marching right in formation cavalry. They're do what they want when they want cavalry. Hide in the. I think we could probably talk them into hiding and ambushing.
Some of them.
Yes, the two of the largest concerns, aside from their, well, size with giants, their immense strength, and the fact that if they have boulders at hand, they can reach you at a distance.
Does the Cinderlands have a lot of boulders, or is it open plains?
It's like Badlands. It's like broken, rocky terrain.
So yes.
So it's sort of like a desert, but it's more like a desert of dirt. It's very like South Dakota Badlands. So lots of rock.
So they would have plenty of ammunition for throwing their rocks. They're taller, they're larger, they can move faster than most humans. And the numbers that they have with the scouting party, I am not sure exactly which. Taking a strong formation or attacking them with a guerrilla tactic with mounted archers or anything of the sort would be best. You have 100 rocks, boulders, the size of a man being thrown at once. Something is going to give, and if you have a wide formation, there's a good chance that that formation's gone. So I believe mobility might be the greatest key.
Which the riders, the Shawanti on horseback, the burn riders definitely do. Nealandis speaks up. They fight on horseback with bows, not what's necessarily always with spears. They're mounted archers. Many of them.
Maybe we need to send out our own scouting party. And learning from previous mistakes, take the offensive and pick our own battlefield and lay a trap.
I was thinking something similar. Give them rocks as options and make sure they're trapped.
Well, or if I can get the Arcana Circle to come in and we were like, I don't know, I guess I was thinking change the area of the quicksand, or
Is there any like valleys? Thinking maybe not Grand Canyon as big, but something similar. Because if we could have them in a valley, there's many options. Quicksand, shooting from above, water.
Back to the map.
So we were looking for, shall we say, beneficial terrain to us.
Mm-hmm.
So
for them to fire.
The terrain is not great for you for the Sindlands, but while Flamefort does not have walls, it is located on a tall plateau, and it's surrounded by a large field of spike growth that only the Shawanti know the path through.
Oh yeah.
So the giants moving into melee towards this place would have to scale the wall, which the wall is
The cliff.
It's a cliff. It's tall though. It's let's see. An 80-foot high cliff. So the giants would have to climb up it, which would take time, and they'd have to move through.
Or just jump and grab. Aren't they like 40 feet tall?
The rune giants
Oh,
are 40 feet tall, but
okay.
the rune giants are able to walk on air. But your typical giant is like 9 to 12 feet. And it's surrounded in a field of spike growth, which would mean they'd have to wade through a field of caltrops effectively, slowing them even more down before they got to the wall. Now, there's no wall around the settlement. They could toss rocks over on top of it and volley the top of the plateau until they level it, but it wouldn't be so simple for them to just walk into the town and smash it.
So we just need to think of something to do for the rocks. Like if
Do we put up a wall? Magical
Mhm.
barrier?
either reverse gravity or a wind. I don't know if a wind wall would stop boulders. But
Is there-
reverse.
Do
I
you
don't
know
remember.
any magic that can stop siege weaponry?
Rachel's gonna have to Arabelle roll a knowledge arcana on that. I'm not sure.
Because these giants are essentially like walking siege weapons, catapults.
Can we bring items, big items through your teleportation circle? Could we bring some ballista? That would be like very giant sized arrows.
It has to be carrying objects or gear up to its maximum load.
So somebody who can carry a ballista.
Right.
He's got those alchemical things. He can carry a ballista.
Well, and I don't. Has Miles mentioned Chloe to us before?
He just did recently.
Yeah.
He didn't really say who Chloe was, but
Okay. Well, I guess Steffi's there, so Steffi would be like, "Well, if you got Chloe back, she's a giant."
Chloe could easily carry a ballista. You're right.
I don't know how big Chloe is though.
She's huge. She was a cloud giant, so she was taller than even stone giants. The issue is locating her. I do not have any direct contact with her. I think in this case we would be reliant on Arabella to be able to potentially find her and retrieve her. But also on that note, if we were able to retrieve her for this battle, that would put a risky piece on the game board, because the rune giant could potentially try to dominate her.
Mm.
But also beyond that, thinking to the greater picture here, if we were able to get Chloe into Corvosa and help train the troops so that they can get accustomed to the size of giants and perhaps provide more information as far as giant tactics, that would be a rather large boon for our forces. Having a point of view from one that had been originally dominated.
Miles, you know, Chloe was somewhere between 15 to 17 feet tall.
Mm-hmm. What?
Do we know, Dalibor, do your alchemical items need to be applied onto weapons, or can they be applied to organic matter or poisons? What I'm thinking is if they don't have to be, if they can be applied to organic matter, we could potentially put poison and or giant bane on the natural plant life.
I think the poison would be applicable. I do not think that the magics of a bane item, because it's not being wielded as a weapon. The mechanics of the magic are strange. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but I'm pretty sure all of like weapon buffs have to be applied on weapons, but poisons do not, as long as they're applied. You know, if it's a
contact.
Yeah, if it's contact, it's contact. If it's ingested, it's ingested.
You just have to make sure that the poison doesn't soak into the plant. Have it
unless
stay
it's
viable.
unless it's a you know, if the part of the plant is not necessarily dead, or it's a poison that doesn't affect the plant but will affect a person.
Poisons don't typically affect plants anyways.
Right.
We can do
Well,
some at the site.
I'm not master strategist, but I worked for a place that, you know, many nobles military. I hear this term flanking. If they're all focused on coming up the hill, if we come in after the fact from the other side, they would have to not only either fight uphill, but part of the way through, they'd have to either keep fighting uphill or turn around and come back. Either way, they get attacked from behind. Just pointing that out.
mm-hmm.
A wise observation.
Especially if they have to go slowly through thorns and going up a mountainside. Depending on where you want to put your teleportation circle.
Well, the teleportation circle, I think we'd want to, because it only is it's only a 5 foot radius, so it's only 10 feet, so it'd be like 2 by 2.
We'd have to get people there ahead of time.
I think so, yeah. If you're gonna move an army, or you're just gonna have people rushing in, and that spot can't be moved.
Well, we could have us separate, a small force that packs a large power that they wouldn't see coming from the other side, just as an option. I'm just throwing it out there.
Mm.
I think
Yeah,
we
the-
want our most mobile force flanking them, whatever that is.
The Shawanti, probably.
Probably.
And
We'll
us.
prob- Yeah, us either a part of them or us.
Which means they would have to hide and let the giants pass them before doing the attack.
You, I've seen you use your magic to make people walk on the air. He just kind of looks at all of the casters, just all of the group in general. Can you make the Shawanti riders' horses walk on the air?
Arabella will say in theory, and then Safi will pipe up and say yes, but it's better if you train them because horses get scared when they're not on the ground. So my horse Shadow Miss, I've trained him the airwalk.
Do you think the Shawanti would be open to a house drake? Giant house drake? Is that what Majinko is? Pseudo dragon?
I'm a normal size house drake right now.
Yeah. And you could carry someone like a horse carries someone. You could be invaluable.
Well, I have to get a little bigger, but I can.
Yeah, Arabella will say we could polymorph their horses too, but
Would
that's
that
a higher
change?
level
Would
spell
that change
magic.
their fear though?
Well, if you polymorph their horses into like a dragon horse like you did before, there's no need for them for airwalk. They can just fly.
Yeah,
Right, but would they still be afraid of it, or would it become natural?
it
You know?
would be natural because they'd be the creature.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the horses are well trained and they would take to the airwalk. We could always try it.
Sounds like we've got about a week to try a few different things.
Indeed. You have 1 week before we need to be there.
Well, I'm assuming we're okay with me talking to the Arcana Circle about joining the fight.
Do your best to convince them.
And then I gave Miles the prophecy. I can
You should
translate
probably
it.
actually, when Jeremy gets back, you should speak it aloud for the chat just to refresh them on and the players of what it is, but he's not here yet, and I'm going to give you time to find it.
I don't remember what I was going to say. Arabella will look at Sephi and say, so you cast a miracle. With that spell, you can do what your brother is asking me to do, and then I can focus on other things. Because you've actually met this Chloe, correct? And Sephi will be like, yes. Yeah, I think I can do that. Sure. And Arabella will just kind of roll her eyes. Okay, so pulling up the prophecy.
Speaking of happy things, not death and destruction. How long does it take until a hippogriff is fully grown?
And how long will it take to train them? I know you said that they have to link with riders.
Takes maybe about 6 years for them to reach maturity. Not
Oh.
completely different from your typical foal.
They're not big.
They're foals, he says. He looks at Sephi the as he sees she's not comprehending what that means. He says, "Babies."
Wait, what time did you make that spell?
This morning?
Do you know what time roughly?
No. I think it was it? Let me think. I had just woken up and the sun was up. It wasn't sunrise.
Was it close to the middle of the sky?
It's closer to the middle of the sky now than it was then. But you can make a survival, Sephi.
Oh, actually.
Untrained, yeah.
Steffi actually.
14.
I mean, commoners know what time it is by looking at the sky.
Sephi's not even a commoner.
Yeah. Joke's on you.
She has far less common sense than a commoner.
She has.
Yeah.
She's got a +8.
You know, I was talking to this really nice old man that I didn't get his name, or if he gave me his name, I don't remember it. Although I do remember he had a pet pigeon. Oh, I forget the pet pigeon's name too. And he was very distracting.
Sephi, it was probably mid-morning.
Probably mid-morning.
Can I? Because I watched them hatch. Depending on how old the eggs would have been, they would have to sit in egg form for a long time, yes? I look at Marcus.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the magics can make them age faster? I have witnessed something recently that makes me wonder if similar magics could be in place. Perhaps I feel like I should watch them a bit. There is a possible they may age faster.
The fact that they're there.
And then I'll stop and I'll
defies
look at Arabella and Naveen. Oh, and our friend is having baby probably tonight. Larissa is having baby tonight. The magics of aging on her has affected the growth of the baby. And then I look back at Marcus. If miracle magic is at hand, we could have fully grown animals, depending on how Rasma feels about miracle and asking for it to be back. We didn't lose foals, correct? But she couldn't just give us ones as they were. She is the goddess of birth, yes? So she would have to make sure that they are born.
I
Life
honestly
cycles.
feel like, and I'm not an expert, but I did cast the spell. I just, since Pharasma's a god, I just sort of feel like the rules are a little bit, you know.
We do not know.
I think
I'm
I think
hypothesizing.
she can just do what she wants. She wasn't very specific. Like, I prayed all night and I got like a cryptic poem. So I don't think we're going to get a very specific answer on that. So maybe watching them is probably a good idea.
I was hoping if we could at least have them mature enough to be able to fly. we could potentially. We would never have them strong enough to carry a human, but perhaps we could train them with halflings on their back.
More options. More options are good.
So they are helpful, though.
We will see. In the long run, yes.
Well, that's good.
At the very least, hippogriffs in the sky again will be a symbol of hope for the people. They'll need a lot of that in the days to come.
We still have to decide how we're going to tell the people. And when. Especially if a good army and most of the soldiers from the city just disappear.
That's what they pay you the big bucks for, Marcus.
And getting paid?
In our gratitude and love.
If
I pat him on the shoulder. We're in such close quarters. After all, we are all sharing a bathroom together.
on the subject of your army just kind of leaving, suppose the hippogriffs aged faster due to the god's magic, and they were able to carry a human. Would that potentially attract veterans back to our cause?
It might, but this is all dealing in a hypothetical. What I have is foals right now. Hatchlings. And the best I can hope for at the moment is having them carry a hubstrake or a child. Halfling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if they're strong hatchlings.
Say we won't know anything until later on those. We need to make sure that they are cared for, which is what we have already set up. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
Arabella.
The prophecy. So we can all think on it. So this is what the oracles from Karamaga had stated. A prophecy whispers through the mist. Should the Ancient One be left unchecked, they shall peer through the ring, glimpsing the tapestry of time, seeking the path to his future. A choice looms in the city of secrets, veiled in promises, sweet yet perilous, submit willingly or face the wrath of ancient power. The world teeters on the edge of fate, a thread unraveling in hands of uncertainty. The Ancient One's cryptic machinations stir the echoes of a forgotten reign, the Conqueror's awakening. Relics of yore whisper secrets veiled in shadows, their true purpose obscured. As the ancient tapestry unravels, it paints a picture of an unstoppable force. The Ancient One orchestrates the awakening of a legendary army, transcending time to march upon Barizia. A spectral force, forged in ages past, looms ominously, poised to conquer the land with ease.
Yaramaga is a city of whispers? Or secrets? Or is that
You have heard Kirmaga referred to as the City of Secrets.
I'm assuming the ancient one is Karzug. They shall peer through the ring. I don't know what the ring is referring to.
Ring. Miles is going to make an intelligence check to try and remember something related to the I think it was the denizens of Lang, but I can't remember specifically if this what he had seen there was a ring or not.
So, what specifically are you trying to remember? Is this something Jeremy remembers?
It's something that I remember, but I don't. Like, I remember us killing a bunch of denizens of Lang, and they were working on something, but I don't know if that could have anything to do with this prophecy at the moment.
I
don't
do remember
specific
that.
details.
They wanted us to
I just don't remember if that device that they were working on was like how it was shaped, if it was like a ring or if it was
You, but with an 18,
tapestry.
you remember what it looks like. It was like a room filled with machines, weird arcane machines all over the place, stacked high. And then the center, it looked like there was a Stargate.
Stargate.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Like the from the show Stargate, that's what it looked like. Except
it
it had
was-
Thessalonian runes on it.
So it was a ring.
Yeah, I remember Irie was really upset about that. Or she didn't like it.
Yeah, no. Peering through the ring? I'm not sure.
Glimpsing the tapestry of time and seeking the path to his future.
I'm not 100% certain. But when we were in Karzuk's tower, Thrain Company and I encountered an interesting device. I had to bypass a very special door that would trap you in an alternate dimension if you weren't careful. Basically, if you looked at it, you get trapped in an alternate dimension. I was able to bypass that to get us into this room where we fought a bunch of denizens of Lang, kind of shadowy creatures with talons and wrapped in clothes that you couldn't really see much of. They were working on this device that was shaped like a ring, and we kind of jimmied around with that thing and tried to disable it. I don't know if we were fully capable of doing that or not, but that might be what they're talking about in that prophecy. It did seem to be projecting some sort of image that was changing. Not sure if it's related.
The best we have to go on.
So we might have that might be the ring being spoken of.
The tapestry of time.
Well,
has Kirmaga ever gone by that name before? Is that a
The City
known
of
name?
Secrets?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just making
That's
sure.
a colloquial name for it.
I just wanted to make sure that that was the, it's like, maybe we're assuming that's the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have heard it, that name, in reference to the Kiramaga before.
Does it reference 2 people instead of 1? In one line it says the Ancient One's cryptic machinations, but then the other one's the Conqueror's awakening. Are they referencing the same being or 2 beings? And I also want to point out Relics of Yore whisper secrets. Miles. Secrets of Yore. Past history. Whispers of past history. Sound familiar? You mentioned earlier. Whether related or not, I do not know. But I found interesting correlation. Something was whispering to you of things of the past.
Yes. My past.
It doesn't say whose.
Cryptic machinations. Stir echoes of
I hate riddles.
Mm-hmm.
Hate them even more when they're very vague.
Mm-hmm.
They're very vague, except for the one part that basically tells Karamaga that they should just open up their gates and welcome the giants in with open arms.
Did they say multiple diviners had gotten this prophecy?
Yeah, I believe.
For
Correct me
weeks.
for weeks, yeah. And it's the troll oracles, right?
The augurs, yeah.
Augurs, yeah.
The Conqueror.
Or I think it was for a week, and it was overriding all divinations they were trying to raid, regardless of subject.
Well, maybe our attack will affect that first paragraph. I don't think we are going to leave him unchecked.
Is the Tapestry of Time, is that, I don't know, is there a role to know if that's actually referring to something or if that's poetic license?
I'm not going to give you a roll. You are going to have to interpret.
Okie doke.
I have a question. Maybe Bella can help. And Dalbor also would like to make a roll if given the option. Is there a spell that's blocks, maybe less blocks, but can manipulate the divination magics? Perhaps they're being forced to be given this inappropriately, so that they give in. If he is as powerful of a magic user as we know with ancient magics, perhaps he's able to make their divinations come out the way he wants.
A wish?
You both could roll a knowledge arcana.
$43.
You definitely both know the one that I have thought of. So that's the one you think of right now. Is you know of an illusion magic, a powerful spell called Screen, but it's usually used to misdirect scrying attempts, magical observation. You can screen out things in a scene that are there. Somebody scrying on you might pick up some things and might miss other things. or things that are not there. Things that are not there might be seen. It creates an illusion that is scryed upon as opposed to a actual event. It doesn't really solve how, 100 divinations in a week would all point to the same thing. Maybe a wish could do that. Maybe.
And that's assuming we think, I mean, I guess that's assuming we think Karzug is arrogant enough that he would announce him coming a week ago.
Well, the man is arrogant.
Even I don't
Relics
know how
of-
to spin that to get them to fight, honestly.
The way what I told Sutherland is he needed to decide what he cared about more, his freedom or his home. And if he cares about his home and he still wants his freedom, then he needs to convince Karamaga to not side with Karzug.
He's the ruler of
Because of-
greed, right? There's no way they're going to be free afterwards, no matter what they agree to.
Right. Karzug's just, he's going to take everything and they'll be under his thumb. The beauty of Karamaga is the freedom to be able to do what you want there.
Right. Which they won't get, but they don't know that. They think they're making a deal for their best goods, and now these divination spells are telling them the same thing.
Well, for some people, it's more important to survive.
That I understand.
Maybe be pitched because I would say that the Arcana Circle is greedy too. And if you're going against a god of greed, someone's not gonna win. They want power. He is not gonna give it. He will not share it.
Well, the good thing
Right.
about the Arcana Circle is they're smart enough to know what he is. The rest of the people in that city, not so much.
Yeah, Sutherland, like, when I talked to him, he didn't want to join Karzug explicitly. The issue isn't the Arcana Circle, I think, fighting against him. It's the rest of the city, and the city is not unified.
Multiple organizations and groups and alliances and allegiances and enemies.
Well, I do not know how I would be able to assist in Karamaga. But I will say Riddleport, Sephi and I and our sister as well, were able to help unite the pirate lords of Riddleport to work together.
If the Arcana Circle is willing to combat the giants in this test run, to fully understand even a fraction of how powerful Karzug's army is, I think that would help give perspective. We want the organization of mages to be against Karzuk, not for him.
Well, we can sit here and postulate, but there's work to be done that needs to be done.
Agreed.
We should part our ways and get on it. We'll need those recruits up to speed quickly.
Do we have any I mean, we don't want to kill OTX, but are there anything other creatures around that we could use as training? Help the city get the recruits up to speed, all in one.
Neolandis speaks. Well, you're trying to mimic combating a giant?
Trying to mimic combat.
There's combat and then there's combating giants. My time as a ranger in the frontiers has taught me those very distinct differences.
Some need to start at the basics. The others, we could accelerate the giants.
Well, as Miles as the leader of the Black Arrows and yourself a master of swordplay, I'm hoping that the two of you are able to come up with some sort of regiment as a drill.
I certainly hope so. As far as combating giants, if we were able to track down my friend Chloe and have her there at the sword school, that would assist, as she is a cloud giant that's about 17 feet tall.
Marcus looks at Sephi. Can you bring her here?
Yes. Excuse me. Yeah, Arabella said I could use Miracle to like pretend I'm Irie, basically.
Then it's settled. You'll bring the cloud giant here.
Yep. And then go see the
You
baby.
giants are not in large supply here, but you may want to consider hiring some of the performers. Each Riverwinds festival, I know there are many stilt walkers walking the streets. You could potentially use them to mock as a giant. They're no combatant, but they may give you a sense of scale.
Mm-hmm.
What about that golem?
I plan to talk to Tuttle anyhow.
We could borrow that. That would be helpful. Terrifying, but helpful.
As long as you are able to control it so it doesn't kill my recruits in training. Your recruits in training.
The golem might be too powerful for them. Unless you just have it stand there.
I mean, it could stand there to point out weak spots that they could attack with mundane weapons and do no damage. We wouldn't have to build giant dummies to practice fighting with.
Yeah, I don't remember all the specs of it, but sometimes golems have if they're activated, they'll have area effects around them. So even regardless if they attack them or just stand there, they could get hurt by it.
Well, we'll talk to Tuttle and see what it can do. Marcus, will you reach out to the people who have left of the former company and see if there is a chance for there to be griffin or hippogriffs that they will return?
I have already sent out one of my retainers.
Even if they don't have hippogriffs that they will return? I nod.
Right. On
Go-
your ways, he says.
Go team. Dalbor just goes out. Leaves
and
first.
Spread out.
Hey.
So, the way we are going to play this, and I'm sure this will stretch out into a two-part thing, is this next the next few days are going to be something of a time-lapse trilogy. We're going to play out scenes that span across several days, snapshots within the 3 days of things people are doing. It doesn't have to be in any particular order as far as what is chronological. It is just understood to be within this time frame. This all leads up to Fire Day, which is the closest item on agenda. The unveiling of the Gallery of Tyranny, hosted by the Order of the Benevolent Hearts. And while not an immediate attack, it is an opportunity to wrangle the nobility and their considerable funds to help you with your army and whatever other influence they might have. With all of you going different directions, I think the first spot we will start will be Naveen and Dalibor. For the scene, we're like a family here. In some, that's more literal, as Naveen is actually going to check on her family. She's invited to lunch at the Bank of Abadar. Dalibor, it is a very different meeting to go speak to Tuttle. But you both arrive at similar points, at a similar time and a similar location at similar points around the lunch hour. Naveen, your family is here to meet in one of the meeting rooms, and you see Dalibor entering through the main gate of the bank. As you enter Dalibor, we can use a map just for reference for this, though I don't particularly have much many use here.
Well, we do have a map of the bank.
We do. Right here is the main gate.
Cannot see anything.
If you want to drag your token on. Now we'll move you in. We have Naveen. You can drag you on.
Yeah, it's all. I can't see anything either.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So as the two of you enter, Naveen, you look up and you can see your father kind of waving you towards this room up in the corner. And Dalibor, you know to speak with Tuttle, you're gonna have to go upstairs.
Okay. Were we like just on the way in and we just saw each other and like we're chatting on our way in?
Yes, basically, okay. Yeah. So if there's anything you'd like to talk about, you can.
Is there anything you'd like me to mention to Tuttle before I go up there? I know the bank has been helping to fund the city's guards.
As you're kind of talking, you can see Harry is beckoning to Naveen, and you see Naveen's mother, Katrina, comes out and kind of like slaps him on the side and like does one of this and says, and she starts waving to both of you to come over.
I'll just walk with Naveen that way while we have our conversation.
Okay.
I mean, do you think no, I mean I can't think of anything, Dalibor. You usually have this in hand.
I just don't know what you're building and what your training and all of that is going through at the moment, so I don't have a scope. So I wasn't sure if there was anything that I should tell him or that he might even need to know, or that you would like me to do or ask.
I hopefully won't move. I mean, if I end up needing to take out a loan, a good deal on the rate or no interest rate would be preferable. I don't know that's a conversation for today, though.
All right. I will say hi. Hello to Harry. Sorry I haven't been at the store. Hopefully everything is going well. Thank you.
Well, do you have time to join us for lunch? Katrina says. You can see there's a table. They've got, it looks like a fish stew that's out in a veggies broth, like the catch of the day, rye bread, crusty bread, cheese, pickles. There's some fruit from the market, some wine and water for Elon, who's there.
I take her hand and I put like almost fatherly on the mother's hand, even though we're probably the same age. I go, I am sorry. I take too much time of you and your family as it is. Let me leave you be with your own family. Thank you so much for the invitation. I do have work to do, but you don't get that much time to spend this time with all of your family, just those of you. So I will let you be. I thank you for lending me your family and all that you do for your family. They are amazing people and you do great by them.
So Dalibor, roll a diplomacy. And I know this isn't to convince her to let you go. It's more of a way of you saying, I wish I could, but I can't. And saying it as nicely as you possibly can.
Yeah. 29.
Yeah. And you really couldn't fail that. So she's like, oh, well, I'll save some for you.
That would
We'll
be
have
excellent.
Plenty of extra.
Have Harry bring some back to the shop when he goes back that way. I would love it. I'd love to try.
He's already chewing on some rye bread and he just like salutes.
I'll pat him on the shoulder. I will nod to Naveen.
And you're able to quickly.
And I'll scruffle the brother's hair.
He's just like.
And start heading towards
Naveen.
tunnel.
Yeah, so you quickly exit and you head back towards into the main banking area, back down Agreement Walk, and you're on your way to dealing with Tuttle.
Yeah.
Naveen, you sit down and you're having a family lunch. Fish stew, rye bread, cheese, pickles, fruit, wine, water. They let you have the wine because honestly, you fought a demon-possessed queen, a devil-possessed queen. You can fucking drink wine if you want to fucking drink wine. Well, and it's more medieval akin times, so really the age of drinking, whatever.
Yeah, the brother's like.
So Harry says, as you're all sitting down breaking bread, how's the school going? How are things going?
The school needs a lot of repairs. So that's going, sort of.
Oh, how's the king, dear?
Oh, I think he's a little overwhelmed.
Aren't we all? There's just so much that's happened in the past few months. We just getting back to normal is going to be such a task. I wouldn't want to be the person who has to rebuild after this. The city's financials are in dire strait. Tuttle is fussing day and night about it.
You could always melt that golem down.
It's a gaudy showpiece for sure, but it does protect the bank.
Does the bank need protecting?
Wow. Corvosa's a scary place right now.
Corvus has always been a scary place. Speaking of scary places, Elon, are you going to be coming to training?
I was just gonna ask that, Harry says. That you should take Elon and get him whipped into shape for your training school. And Elon's like, yeah, I would have used 2 swords. Oh, can I use 3? I'll carry 1 in my mouth.
You
The
know,
more
some-
swords you use, the stronger you are, right?
Right,
you
Larissa?
met Larissa, right?
Who? The grandma?
Respect your elders. But yes. She only had 1 sword, but she was very strong.
Yeah, but you beat her. I heard about it.
We took turns.
Oh, he took pity on her, he says. Come on, you were taught by the Vancarlo Orsini. You were his last student, right?
Yes. But we watched him from the rooftops together.
Oh,
Remember?
so you didn't train with him?
Not for more than maybe a day or 2.
So you trained with him. So you mastered his style.
Oh my.
In only a day.
He just kind of pouts. Well, how long is it going to take to be a sword master? You went from mopping Pastico's shop floor to killing god queens in like a couple months, right? So I should at least be able to, I don't know, beat anybody in the city in like what, a week?
You have to work hard to be able to do that.
I will. Yeah, you will, boy. And
So
Katrina's just kind of like, well, maybe you should spend more time at the shop. Learning skills other than swinging a sword are important too. Nonsense. Boy's got to get strong. Put whiskers on his chin. Well, don't forget your studies.
I'm
I
gonna
guess
give
it wouldn't.
Mom a hug.
She just kind of pats you and she says, even the bank isn't immune to the scariness. And in fact, speaking about that golem, I'm glad we have it. There's been some unsettling hate towards the bank recently. Have you heard about, she's like, have you heard, saying to Harry, and he's like, oh, I think I remember hearing about the notes, right?
The note?
Oh, yeah, somebody calls themselves the Sploder.
Oh. The what?
The Sploder. Hold on, wait here. She gets up and she goes to the door and disappears. Yeah. Wait till you hear this. The Sploder, they call themselves.
One
I
of
think
the
it's some
worst
kid.
names I have ever heard.
Yeah, I think it's some kid pulling a prank. You know, don't need to take things like this too seriously. Elon's like, just train me in 6 hours and I'll take this bloater out for you. After a little while, Katrina comes back in and she's got a piece of paper that she unfurls and she's just like shaking her head, exasperated, and she plops the parchment down in front of you.
I'll read it.
You open it expecting to read a note, and instead, what you see is a crudely drawn picture of what appears to be an angry goblin stick figure. So you know it's got an oval, sideways oval shaped head and ears. And a blown up building, which you, with your perception, are able to roughly guesstimate looks like the Bank of Abadar, and a money symbol and a smiley face.
All right, the name now makes more sense.
We've been getting notes like these for nonstop for the past week. Every day.
Have you seen any goblins around?
No, not really. No. But that's kind of the thing about goblins. When they don't want to be seen, they're really hard to see.
Sploder.
The
They give
sploder.
it a time frame?
She chuckles almost just like I did. And she's like, I don't know if this is a person with the type of person with a grand plan. You just kind of look at the crudely drawn stick figures on the paper, stick figure threats on the paper, and you realize the note kind of smells.
Do you mind if I take this with me?
Please, we've got 20 more.
Oh. Mom, have you thought about taking a vacation?
Ah, have I ever. We should go on a family vacation. I've been saving some money for a while. I thought maybe we could, I don't know, maybe go to Kalsgard or somewhere like that. It's summertime, so it's not so cold up there. Yeah, and the Olfin people, they really know a good drink when you get to one of their taverns.
Do I know where this is?
Make a geography.
I don't know where this is. Holy.
You do know where this is. Kalsgard is the capital of the lands of the Lenorm kings. It is the country bordering the northern side of Varizia. As such, you know from where Corvosa is, it is 700 miles to the northern border of Varizia, which means you take a ship there. You wouldn't walk that. But it's still a long trip. And then from there you're however far Carlsgard is, which is on the southern bank of the country. So it's not far from the border. It's kind of far from the border. It's probably another 200 miles or so. So it's about 1,000 miles to get there.
So take far away from this place.
It would be far away from the Verizian lowlands, yeah.
Sounds lovely, Mom. But I don't think we're out of the woods yet.
Well, what do you mean, dear?
I mean, that Queen Eliosa was maybe not the only obstacle that we have to face before we can rebuild.
Harry stops chewing. And they just kind of look at you confused.
The king will share more soon.
Well, that's ominous.
On the plus side, you can't share any of this. But on the plus side, there's some hippogriffs back.
Oh, we had heard something happened at the Great Tower recently. That Pharasma blessed it?
Yeah.
I heard there was going to be a hurricane. And then there wasn't.
I already had one of those.
Another one, though.
Oh, really? Who said that?
Some weirdo who calls him off of 7th Street, who calls himself a meteorist. Meteorist? Motorologist? I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
Was he like predicting the future or threatening the city?
I guess he was predicting the future, maybe. I don't know.
Wow. I should meet with you guys more. I learned so much about the goings-ons.
Well, the bank is a great place for a lot of gossip, she says, your mom says.
Seems like that's true. I'll give him hugs.
Okay, you give them hugs and you finish a very tasty home cooked lunch with your family. And you have a new name to add to your rogues gallery. The Sploder. Who is the Sploder?
And potentially the meteorist.
The meteorist.
The Sploder.
Dalibor.
Yes.
You briskly walk to the 2nd floor of the Bank of Abadar, and you arrive to the doorway leading to the Archbishop's room.
Okay.
The guard looks at you and recognizes you. You're known as the Exalted. And so he leads you into the waiting area and he tells you, wait here, I will speak to the bishop. Do you wait or do you just go in?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Abadar's not about the chaos.
A couple minutes pass. And the guard returns and says, the bishop will see you now.
I nod, go, follow him. Okay. Unless he's just like, there's the door.
Yeah, he is just kind of like, there's the door.
All right, then I just go in.
And he stands on the outside of the waiting room door. But you can see the guardian, that inevitable guardian from before, that outsider, is still standing there, like this metallic armored dwarf, it looks like.
Right.
And so you're guessing typically the guard is like, well, he's okay with that thing. And plus he's the archbishop, so he can, what does he need a freaking 4th level warrior for?
Right. Not even fighter, but warrior.
Yeah. You go in and you can see the archbishop. Puddle is there. His glasses are slowly sliding and clinging at the precipice off his nose. He has stacks of paper everywhere. He has his cheek buried in his hand as he is writing what looks like some sort of invoice or memorandum with a quill. And he sets down his quill and looks at you over his glasses, which seem to sag further on his face, and says, "Mr. Malover, what do I owe the pleasure?" His voice is somewhat sarcastic because he knows you're in here to whip him into shape some sort of way. But it is indignant sarcasm. It is toothless sarcasm because you have the king's ear and he has the king's ire.
Right. I will pause for a moment, and I'll kind of let the weight of the world show a little bit that Dalibor has been carrying these last 2 days, to let him know he's not the only one exhausted. And also to let him know that, you know, we are still allies, and that I do trust him. And I say,
as you just kind of do that, he takes his glasses off, and you can see he reaches under his desk and he produces 2 glasses. And he has what looks like a bottle of half-filled bourbon that he pours 2 glasses.
I nod.
Be gentle, he says.
Alcohol does not do anything to me. I do it for the flavor and the mild burn, so I don't I don't do anything but a gentle unless it is a drink that requires it. May I sit?
Please, exalted.
I sit down. Iliosa, what she did, the aftermath continues to haunt us in ways that are far worse. I'm about to tell you things that the king knows, the small inner circle knows, and can't go beyond these walls. And I look at the extra planar being that's in the room.
You see he looks at the creature and he goes, and it pauses, looking at him with its gazeless visor before leaving, and the door shuts behind them.
What I'm going to tell you, I don't want you to speak of strategies. I don't want you to speak of theories. And I'm going to make this as brief as possible because there are prying eyes of magical capabilities that might be able to see and hear anything I say or do. We have very few locations that he cannot see through.
He?
Yes. That being said, I believe I have a spell that I used to block the thing, and I'm just going to check real quick for it because I didn't think about it till just this moment. Non-detection. I will use my mend thing of non-detection.
Okay, drink your extract of non-detection.
And I actually have a 4th level universal formula that can do spells level or lower, and I will make one for him of the universal formula. It is to prevent magical scrying. It may not work, but the best laid wishes.
He drinks it as a sign of trust and sets the vial down.
I drink mine. And then I use a little bit of bourbon as a chaser. There is a being of an ancient being, known as a rune lord. And I'll kind of give him the brief rundown to save us all time. And then I will, a rough round of who the rune lord is, what he is, kind of what he does, the little bit of history about him that we know, and that he is alive. And the other cities all know about him. Messengers came to warn this city, but Iliosa basically ignored that, and we have no time to prepare for the army, and it's going to hit. Of all the nations, it's probably going to hit us second after Karamaga. And some of our people have already seen it. I have seen the giants that they talked about. We are silently trying to prepare until we are ready to tell the populace so that they are prepared and so that they do not go into widespread panic. It is a very delicate situation.
I can appreciate delicate situations. I find myself thrust into them constantly.
Now, what you can do and how you can do them, I know very little of inner workings of the churches within the churches, but I would be willing to bet that any smaller priests in the land that we watch over should be called back. And their worshippers should come as well. If you can call aid from the other churches that are not under our district, if they can aid, I do not know. I do not know the inner workings of politics for one church bishop to another. I don't know what you or the church can do to help, other than what you have shown to help within tragedies of past. However, this is a moment to show the city what this church and what the Dark Tuttle can do to aid. And if we don't, there will be no city left. We are not much further along than we were before Iliosa. Out of frying pan into fire.
He sips his bourbon. And so what is it you are asking of me, Mr. Malov?
I am not asking you of anything. I'm informing you so that you can make the decision that you think is actually right for this city, because I trust you. I have given suggestions, but I don't know the inner workings of politics of church. I only know governments. I only know nobilities and their inner workings. I'm assuming it's similar, but I don't believe, from what I understand, of the inner workings of the church, only the outer workings. Only what the scriptures tell us. Only what Abadar has spoken to me directly. And none of that is whether or not you can ask for aid from the other churches. I know they all believe different things. They all view things a little differently, but they all follow the same tenets of do good, help civilization. whether it be monetarily, whether it be not. You are the leader of the church. I am a servant of Abadar. And I say that and I kind of just look down in more ways than I was a few days ago.
You can roll a sense motive on Darb.
That's Harry. We don't want Harry's sense motive. That'd be bad. 26. Oh, is he a member of Corvosa? Because I think I get a bonus. Oh, no, I don't get a bonus to that. Never mind. That's just for diplomacy.
Well, a 26 is probably good enough. That Darb seems surprised by the specifics of what is coming to him based on however much you've told him about the actual situation.
Yeah, I'm not going into details about our plans. Just the scouting party, what's kind of in the scouting party.
The giant army?
The giant army, the
Are you telling him about the existence of the... You did tell him about the existence of the Rune Lord? I don't remember.
Yes. And the details of who the Rune Lord is and kind of what they do.
Yeah. Okay.
The historical.
He does seem surprised about you saying that there's a Rune Lord back, that there's a giant army marching down.
And I would have emphasized that he's the Rune Lord of Greed. Because I'm sure when it comes to Abadar, that is a small poke in the ribs.
But you are able to detect that he is not surprised that there is another imminent crisis. And it's not just that he was pessimistic, but it seems like he is aware of something that pads the impact of the news you give him. If you're asking me to attempt to conscript the other banks, notably the bank in Magnamar, I will remind you that they have a sworn obligation to their respective communities. Were this a threat that were only affecting Corvosa, I might be able to bring some of their priests here. But this is a wide-reaching danger. I'm sure they will be willing to work with us and lend whatever assistance we might mutually benefit both of our communities, but they won't supplant Corvosa over Magnamar. Neither would I supplant Corvosa over Magnamar, or Magnamar over Corvosa, says Ray.
Even open dialogue is something. I don't expect them to abandon ship there to come here. In fact, I really don't know what... I just felt you should know, and you are a person that might have ideas of what can do to help. And you do seem to know something I did not realize you knew. You did not react as we had reacted.
Over the news of a crisis threatening Varizia? No, I knew something was brewing. Magnamar, I speak with the proctor there on occasion. We don't necessarily have a reporting structure, but I do outrank him de facto as an archbishop to a proctor. Though I would not presume to give him orders.
And since they were preparing, they knew what was up. So thereby you had something knowledge that something was going on.
Indeed.
Well, now you know details.
Indeed I do.
Well, if they have information that we might not, maybe they would be more willing to share with you.
Well, I know that the Council of Ushers of Magnamar has been mobilizing and holding training drills for quite some time, though I did not know what specifically it was. And I was beginning to create assumptions that it could perhaps be training drills to influence the situation here were it to get out of control.
Well, that might still be a viable option when Karzug arrives. We do have one of their experts, one of Magdamar's experts on the situation with us currently.
Very fortuitous. Well, Mr. Malorv, what would you recommend I do? What would your counsel be as one who holds the king's ear?
We need all the manpower we can get, frankly. We need influence and magic. Right now, our goal is to gain manpower and defensibility. We have people training. We have people looking for magical solutions, allies. I do nothing but the same with you.
We have valuable staff, irreplaceable employees, really. We're like a family here.
What can the church do in times of war?
I feel as if you're beating around the bush.
I'm not. I'm overwhelmed. I haven't slept in days. Even with magic, it takes its toll. I've had very little to eat, and I've been making magical travels to multiple places. I've just now starting to catch up with the things I've seen fighting Iliosa.
Dalibor.
I'm coming to you just as much for help as I am for guidance.
Make a diplomacy check.
There's more than 5,000 that live in this town, right?
Yes.
And he's a member of the Church of Abadar.
He is the head of the Church of Abadar, yeah.
He recognizes me as an exalted.
Yes.
I think that's a +2, not a +4. So 32. Rolled pretty crappy. But what can you do?
Well, Mr. Malorov, I'm sure you understand what the domain of Abadar is. He is the god of wealth and commerce. We don't have manpower that we can give you. Our people are bankers, they're not warriors. We do have some financial means, however. But I must remind you that we, and especially I and yourself, have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients who invest in us. war is very expensive, and we must find a means to care for their fiscal well-being as well as their physical well-being. I'm sure, Dalibor, right now, you feel your stomach kind of like tightening as you find yourself kind of butting with some of the principles of Abadar that you don't like as much as the parts that you do.
Right. Which is why I didn't come actually requesting.
Make no mistake
anything.
about that man on the bottle of Captain Morgan. That man was a legend.
Thank you. Take a sip. I understand.
I am willing to utilize these liquid funds. However, I must ensure that there are meetable returns.
I lean forward on the desk. The Rune Lord of Greed comes to Corvosa. What do you think it is in Corvosa that he will want first?
They can intimidate.
Oh, I get a +2 to my intimidate. I mean, I'm not. Oh no! Wait, no. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. I've got it right here.
Okay.
We're doing that again.
Take your reroll.
Yeah, it's not as good. Not even.
Oh.
It was worth a try. But it's still a fact, right? It's still a fact. I wasn't really trying to intimidate. I was just pointing it out. But I'm sure an intimidate helps.
He kind of pauses and he says, "While I will admit you paint a very grim picture, Mr. Malova, perhaps we should consider this more from an enterprising perspective, as our tenants do say. The Rune Lord of Greed wants what we have. But what does he have that we can want?"
So you're
Surely,
saying
have you ever heard of the fable? Surely, have you ever heard of the fables of the lost city of Zin-Shalast? The roads of gold? Steeples of diamonds? Piles of wealth lying in the streets, discarded as refuse? The mountains which the Rune Lord sleeps on? That sort of return I would be willing to invest quite a bit in.
And yet, if he has all of that, what would he want from the Bank of Abadar that he doesn't already have?
That is the funny thing about greed, my friend. You never have enough. As he says this, Dalibor, maybe he doesn't say this. Maybe it's not something he is intentionally reflecting. But as he says this, it's almost like an ugly mirror you're looking at. He says, never enough. And he speaks of Karzu. But you also see him in this mirror.
Yeah.
Well, have you know, he says, I'm sure you're a man of facts. The bank has 220,000 gold pieces in various liquid funds.
I nod.
It is a pittance compared to what we used to have. Iliosa has drained our coffers as much as our city's soul.
I nod. And even what I did bring back was not even a portion of what was needed.
So you also remember, being the money man, you know how much you brought back, so you know what is approximately in the castle's treasury is about 200 and it's close to that amount. It's in the 220-ish range.
Right.
Which puts the overall funds that you know about right now between the bank and castle at probably just shy of $500,000. A lot of money. But it seems Darb's money isn't without a asterisk.
Besides the golem, what defenses does the church have?
Well,
if we need to retreat, do the people of Corvosa retreat to the church or to the castle or to some other section of the city? And will the church take people in if it comes to that?
We shall, he says. We have an obligation to our community to protect it, and the bank is a very defensible location.
Do you have people who train your guards, or do you bring them in from elsewhere? Or both?
Our guards are specially trained as bank guardians.
Would any of them in their off-duty be willing to come and help train at Naveen's school? Where they are training new city guards and new militia.
I don't presume to dictate what they do on their free time, but I am willing to ask. In fact, I'm willing to incentivize it as a enhancement to their training. Surely it would benefit the bank. An incentive.
And I think the people that train there would see it as an opportunity as well. I appreciate your time and your drink. I don't want to take more. I know you have plenty to do, as do I.
As I'm sure you do.
There is a event coming up at the Jagari Museum. Will you be attending?
I believe I shall. The new gallery.
We're going to be using it to needle push the nobles in a direction of being able to help us support the endeavors coming in. I haven't talked to Jagari yet, but knowing what that display is all about, I think it will be a good aid. I tell you this in advance because you know what is to come. Without telling people, I know you have the capability of maybe keeping conversation topics that direction. Would you be willing to partake in those conversations?
And assisting you steering the conversations towards aiding?
Yes.
Make a diplomacy check.
Like, you know what is at stake. And it is building community and helping the nobles maintain their money. Uh, $42, as Dalibor gets a little bit more clarity.
I have a specific responsibility to, he says.
Oh, and make sure to try some of the wine.
And he just kind of, as you stand up and you begin to head out, he just kind of nods to you. Says, I'll see you Fire Day.
See you on Fire Day. And then I will. Oh, I will do the Columbo. Oh, one more thing. I have come across one of these. It weighs heavily on my mind. I know of it. Have you seen one of these before? And I will show him the sword.
Which sword is this?
The one that I got from Brianna. The one that is specific to me being very religious.
Oh? Let's see if he does.
As
know
a
what
bishop,
this
I'm
is.
assuming he's probably seen at least one or two in his life.
This is a very rare item.
Is that you saying that, or is that him saying it?
That is me saying it. So maybe he has.
Yeah, he's a bishop. You know, he's been in the church for a very long time. That's why I assume if anybody in that's not one of us has any idea, it would be the bishop of the Church of Abador in one of the biggest churches in Verzia.
He starts the casting of a spell and looks at it.
And I won't be touching it when he does this.
What is the caster level of your item?
It was never actually given to me.
Oh.
Like, I don't have the stats for it.
It's caster level 18. So
I'm guessing it's just the basic what it is, right? It's straight out of the book.
Yeah, it's straight out of the
Okay.
ultimate equipment.
Then I will.
His eyes widen. Where did you get this?
And then while he's looking at it, I will put my hand on it.
And it glows brighter. And he kind of like retracts.
And I will pick it up. It was gifted to me. And it showed its power when I returned the money after Abadar asked me to. After he directly asked me to.
You can see on his face he respects you enough not to gainsay you, but he looks extremely skeptical. You can read it on his face that is like, gods don't talk to us, but he does not say that.
And when he does that, I will close my eyes and I will repeat verbatim what was said to me. Because I'm sure Dalibor has it ingrained in his brain when I was in the orb. What's that?
Do you remember what was said to you?
I only remember the oath, which I mean, I don't have it.
Okay.
But
you repeat it.
I repeat the paladin oath part of it, but I would also repeat the instructions I was given. Because Dalibor doesn't know what it means, right? He said what it was, but he doesn't know more than what the words, how the words translate to anybody who would hear them. He's like, I did what I was told, what he asked of me. It's ingrained in my memory. It will be forever.
Would you be interested in selling that?
I would be interested in it if it went to somebody that was more worthy than me. And then I don't know if I would sell it. I would give it. because they deserved it.
Somewhere a cartoon paladin is running over to Corvosa like this.
But until then, I don't think anybody... Until Abadar wills it, it will not leave my hand.
You change your mind, I'll pay a fine price for it. A price you won't be able to acquire anywhere else in this city.
I think that what a good that I can do utilizing this does more to aid the city than the funds you would pay for it.
I understand. My door is always open. He kind of motions.
As a man of the church, is there any clarity on what happened?
With your experience?
I nod. Being devoted, being exalted, this was more than I ever expected. And while I don't doubt the judgments of Abadar, I still feel like I'm missing something. I don't understand.
He
There's
stands
something
up and
relevant that is missing my eyes.
He stands up and he places a hand on your shoulder, and you can feel it is just as comforting as it is condescending. And he says, "My boy, I've been a banker for 40 years. Never once has a god directly spoken to me. Never. Consider your circumstances and understand that while we experience the deity in their own unique ways, that you have not slept much. Your stomach hungers and your knees are tired of carrying the weight of the entire world on your shoulders. I pity you, my friend, and I pray you get rest and you find your sense of direction. But know that my door is open to you, and I shall support you."
I nod. Probably tear, when he talks a little bit. There's something, while yet condescending, is still moving and relevant to him. And Dalibor will just nod his
the
head.
circumstances are Dalibor is exhausted too.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many of those potions you take, it still mentally takes a toll. Roleplay.
Even if you're resting when you're constantly on this roller coaster.
Right. And then he will turn and start heading towards the museum.
Right. I will work with one more scene, which may take us to ending the scene early, but we will see. Arabella. We both know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
The object of your obsession, you would go nowhere else.
Yeah, probably send Sullivan a message, make an appointment some other time, but
Before you leave, you are approached by Neolandis. "I wish to acquire your services. I hope I may impose slightly on your busy schedule, but it is an object very near and dear to me. And I'm willing to compensate you in a way I feel is fair." The spell that is surrounding the royal bathroom, are you able to cast that spell yourself?
I would need to learn it.
I was prepared for such an occasion. Says, as you see, he has this this teak scroll tube that has like designs of buildings and houses. It almost looks like it'd be an Abadarian mainstay or a relic of some kind. Not like a valuable relic, but its design is Abadarian. And he says, I procured one. I'm willing to grant this to you in hopes that it might waive your casting fee if you would cast it at a location for me.
Do you want it
No,
permanency?
no. Just cast. Its duration should suffice for me to meet my guest and speak to them on private terms.
Is this putting you in any sort of danger?
No. No, it's just a situation that would require discretion for a friend. I have a private room rented at the Crested Falcon. It's a restaurant in the Heights. If you'd please tell them that you're there on behalf of the Seneschal Kalapopoulos, they'll lead you to it. Cast it there.
When do you need the spell cast?
Sometime within the next couple days, but please let me know when you do. You have it there today or tomorrow.
I have the ability to learn spells at an accelerated time. So I could have it this evening.
Yes, that would work this evening, and then I will meet my guest there tomorrow.
Can Arabella do a sense motive on the nature of this meeting?
You can do a sense motive on the nature of how he is acting.
Okay.
26. That's not bad. As he's talking, his face is flushed and his pattern of speech is getting slightly more nervous and erratic. You don't gather that he's in danger, but whatever it is he's talking about, he seems somewhat embarrassed or perturbed or flustered about. You're guessing the nature of whatever it is not dangerous or harmful, but is potentially embarrassing or requiring discretion.
I'll do this for you. And I'll also keep quiet about it.
He waits like a 5 count after you say that, and then he nods as he sees there's no but after that and thanks you. It sounded like there was going to be a but.
Well,
but there wasn't.
Yeah, not immediately. She will go into the other. She'll find a quiet place in the castle. The spell.
How long does it take you?
Can you remind me of the level? Of Mage's Sanctum, is it?
It is 5th level.
So recording it will take me 50 minutes. And
Okay.
then an hour to study. So 2 hours.
Okay. I will put it at 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is your order? Are you then going to go to the place to cast it, or are you going to your favorite place?
I'm gonna go to the place to cast it.
Okay.
So I don't have to teleport back.
Okay.
So I'll just find him if he's still in the castle before I leave and be like, I'm gonna go cast the spell now.
I'll send a runner, he says. Okay.
I can cast it tomorrow.
No, today is great. Well, see. Yeah. Go ahead and cast it. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, she'll go cast the spell.
We don't have to go through role playing it. It's very simple. You know where the crested unicorn is because you have knowledges. You tell them who has sent you, and they lead you to a very nice private room, and you cast the spell. And that is it.
Are you able to put it in your book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's gonna be super useful. Hopefully you're not just using the scroll.
And then you are heading to the...
And Bella just say to herself, I thought you would want to put it in the castle permanency somewhere more useful than the bathroom.
You teleport back to the Sunken Queen.
Yeah.
Roll your percentage.
Like greater.
Don't roll your percentage. Let's see. Do we have enough time to get through any of this? Five minutes. I think we are going to pick up next game with part 2 of our time-lapse trilogy.
Okay.
Arabella, you teleport to the tilted Sunken Queen. You go up through to the room with the huge orb of roiling blood, and you feverishly start frantically grabbing at your books and reading through to learn the next step of the secret ritual of whatever it is to use this item to the way the ancient rune lords, of which one you might be facing very soon, utilized it in millennia past.
I am gonna do 2 things before I start studying. Well, now every day I'm casting Mind Blank on myself.
That's okay.
And then I'm also going to be casting Screen inside my laboratory area.
Okay.
And then, yeah, there's another thing that I'll message you that Arabelle is going to start doing every day.
You can just message me those spell preparations. So that's where we'll end it.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for participating, and thanks all the viewers for joining us on the show and hanging out. Appreciate all of that. We're going to raid on out to our friend DM Wolf, who is still role-playing. Haha, we beat him to it. So we will go and raid on over to him. So give him all your love and support. They're currently actually doing some tabletop role-playing. Monster of the Week is what they're playing. So come along with us to our friend DM Wolf. With that being said, this game will resume in about a month on Wednesday. We have a date, but I don't have it. I have it, but it's the 19th. Is that what I have? Is that what you guys have? The 19th? June 19th. This will resume on June 19th. I will be back tomorrow at noon for the last game of Beta Once Human. So if you liked Once Human and wanted to see it, I will also have codes if you want to try and get in on the beta for the last couple days of the game. That will be an option. So we will see you tomorrow at noon. And for everybody here, thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with us. And thanks for the alerts and jump scares and making us all wet our pants. So with that being said, have a good one, guys. Take care and good night. If I can find the button that says go bye-bye. There's the button.